We had the most successful country we've ever had. And I hope someday maybe we'll get your vote. Sounds like maybe I won't, but that's okay too.
My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency.
What do voters want from this election? 4 years of change or 4 years of stability? Which candidate, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, is likely to deliver what seems to be the electorate's longing for a simultaneous mixture of disruption and normalcy?
How are you going to make them pay for the wall?
I will, and the wall just got 10 feet taller.
Donald Trump entered U.S. politics in 2015 as a hurricane of disruption, promising big changes, most memorably regarding his proposed wall along the southern border.
We're going to make them pay for that wall. Now, the wall is $10 billion to $12 billion if I do it. If these guys do it, it'll end up costing $200 billion.
Mr. Trump then beat, barely, his establishment opponent, Hillary Clinton. His term produced traditional public policy, but also constant tumult.
Let me tell you something. Joe Biden is a criminal, and he's been a criminal for a long time, and you're a criminal and the media for not reporting it.
Following 4 years of Mr. Trump, the electorate's appetite shifted from disruption to stability.
Politics doesn't have to be a raging fire, destroying everything in its path.
Joe Biden, a careful-sounding creature of the U.S. Senate, ran on returning the country to normalcy.
Unity, 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 and unity.
Now, in 2024, the nation seems to be teetering on a political seesaw over what it wants in the next presidency. The Democratic left, led by members of the Senate, want to take apart the Supreme Court.
I believe the best structure is the 18-year term limit.
Meanwhile, some on the Trump-supporting right want to dismantle the Department of Justice.
Justice is no longer blind in America. Today it's driven by politics.
Kamala Harris is pitching herself to suburban voters as the calm, sane alternative to Mr. Trump. But last year, the Biden-Harris administration proposed revising Title IX to forbid schools and colleges from banning transgender athletes. It's on hold for now, but do parents in suburban high schools want change that lets boys compete against their daughters?
The athletes that participate, the awards that are given out, the scholarships, the recognition, the prizes may or may not go to a female this particular time, depending on whether a male chose to be able to run against females or to be able to compete against females in that particular sport.
It is conventional wisdom that Trump-supporting voters are complicit in an assault on democracy. But most of these voters remain fundamentally right-leaning centrists who are mainly opposed to the disruptions caused by what they call wokeness. For them, the stability candidate is Mr. Trump. In contrast, Ms. Harris is basically rerunning the Biden election playbook from 2020.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Like Mr. Biden, Ms. Harris is campaigning as the anti-Trump.
He who said he would be a dictator on day one.
It's a crude strategy, but after such close results in 2016 and 2020, it remains a viable option. And there's little reason to believe Ms. Harris isn't promising the same fake post-Trump normalcy that Mr. Biden did. She's already come out for legalizing marijuana and giving cannabis store licenses to people with prior drug convictions.
I will work on decriminalizing it because I know exactly how those laws have been used to disproportionately impact certain populations and specifically black men.
Biden and Harris have long claimed Mr. Trump's presidency was 4 years of chaos. But before the COVID-19 pandemic arrived in early 2020, it was hardly that.
Today, I'm pleased to announce the official approval of the presidential permit for the Keystone XL pipeline.
Not only was there the 2020 approval of the Keystone XL pipeline, but before that, passage of the Trump tax bill.
But it's the largest tax cut in the history of our country, and reform, but tax cut.
What's recalled instead from Inauguration Day onward is the media's Russian collusion narrative, the Mueller investigation, and the Democratic House's impeachments.
President Biden has been clear-eyed about the threat that the former president represents to our democracy.
How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump other than threat.
Today, a decisive Republican sweep would be one road to relative political stability, giving Democrats time to rethink their leadership. But a caveat: it's not clear Mr. Trump himself wants political stability, even if elected. Undecided voters may conclude Mr. Trump is inherently volatile.
We have to take the House, we have to take the Senate. That means winning every swing seat, and let's get it done.
But there is another path to a more settled daily politics. Voters could elect Kamala Harris into the presidency while giving Republicans control of the Senate and House. Today, that's derided as gridlock. But it's possible the American people, in their wisdom, will impose a cooling off period of divided government.